A lot of the time when I'm done with work, I would go to the gym, and if there's no bookings for the day, I would come home, study Russian, read, and then I have like 2-3 hours to kill. I can't go outside. I try not to because I need to kind of unwind so I can go to sleep at 3 p.m. or 5 p.m., and then wake up ready for work tomorrow on weekdays. So I have like 2-3 hours to kill. So we were reading this book. It's called The Dancing Woolly Masters. Woolly is the Chinese word for physics, which transliterated, it means organic patterns of energy. There was a part in it that spoke of Schrodinger's wave equation, and then shortly after, there's this. In short, the physical world, according to quantum mechanics, is not a structure built out of independently existing, unanalyzable entities, but rather a web of relationships between elements whose meanings arise wholly from their relationships to the whole. The new physics sounds very much like old Eastern mysticism.
So I went on and asked ChatGPT to explain this to me in layman's terms, as simple as possible, because then I can try to use it for other things. And I asked it to give me an example of a problem, like a very simple example, right? And then I said, I think I'm going to look up some diagrams to help me really visualize this, because right now I don't really see it in my mind.
For reference, this right here, wait, let me zoom in, is the Schrodinger's wave equation. And this is, it's an expression that describes the energy and position of the quantum particle. For example, like electrons, protons, blah, 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 in space and time.
So I went and read a lot about it. Since particles are also what makes humans, I thought it could be applied.
So after reading a whole lot about it online, I thought of this problem right here. You can pause to read it, but I'm just going to summarize. Since Schrodinger's equation is used to essentially analyze a pattern on a macroscopic scale rather than pinpoint a microscopic answer or description to a problem, I thought, doesn't that apply to sociology? So this here is about people being stubborn, essentially. Just pause and read it. So from the base equation here, which you've seen before, we change the definition of the variables to something that applies to this problem. For example, mass is still mass, but it's now a metaphorical mass, the mass of their resistance or the mass of their thought. E, energy, becomes, this is more like someone's curiosity, their willingness to learn, their willingness to adopt ideas that don't essentially align with what they already believe in or their own perspective. And then velocity becomes strength of social reinforcement, as in how many things factor into the reason why they still have or they still adopt the ideology that they already have. And then there's so many. I'm trying to keep this short.
Computer. So after we've hashed out the variables or the definitions of each variable on the board, we need to now, I thought, I'm not going to do this every time, right? So why not make it into a standard Python program? But the problem is I don't know enough to do that myself. So I asked ChatGPT, using the variable definitions that has been abstracted over on the board, to create a Python code that runs on any standard IP. This right here is our friend, right? I don't know anybody by this name, by the way, so I'm not attacking him. It's just the first name that came to my head. So he has, I highlighted some of the qualities. You can ascribe any points that you want to these variables. This is why I said non-decimal, because it makes it easier to assign points to each value or definition. So let's say I need to run this again because I was being smart else. So our friend here, he has a religious background, and he's a bit traditional. He's raised in an isolated or conservative society, and his media, he watches TikTok, but it's mostly about the algorithm feeds you things you agree with. Nonsense. So that's 6, 7, 8. What is it? Social resistance. This is how many things impact the reason why he continues holding on to his beliefs and his ideologies, and why he's not open to change. Let's say there are mild social penalties for him, like being excluded, stuff like that. He questions the norm. And then there is access to alternative media, but some bias exists. Again, the TikTok thing, he loves to be on there, but it's all biased content because that's what the algorithm knows he would like. So that's 4. And then cognitive energy, again, curiosity, but also willingness to become inspired, to become proactive in seeking and learning. He prefers routines. This man doesn't really, he's busy, he has brothers and sisters to take care of. He does read about alternative perspectives on the internet occasionally. So that's 3. I forgot barrier width, I think I forgot to explain. It's calculated with a separate equation. I can show you later. I don't know if you care, but I can show you. It's right here. So it uses the capital Q. I'm trying to keep this video short. Interesting. Because it was for me, this whole process. So let's say he has this is essentially like how a separate equation to calculate how hooked you are. So let's say he has friends, he hangs out with them. They all have the same perspective as him. They share the same hope. He gets all like ego deathy and like has this existential crisis in his face with the possibility of a new idea. And he thinks it's like betraying his friends, the aforementioned friends that mostly share the same worldview as him. That makes it 6, 7, 8, 8. When we hit OK, it asks, if you use the second version, it can make you a graph. It's ugly, don't expect too much. It's fucking ugly, but it works. So, yes please. And then, this is what happens. So this tunneling probability represents the likelihood of him ever adopting a new stance or a new perspective or a new ideology. The more concise result is up here, low probability of change. So then these are the thresholds. If it's somewhere around here, that's high, moderate, high. If it's here, can you see my cursor? If it's here, it's moderate, moderate, low. This is like the bar is likely it's hopeless. So, but again, the beauty of quantum mechanics is that nothing is ever so much fun. Now I have to go to sleep.